Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, back with another Adventure Time TV vlog. Today we're talking about Root Beer Guy, yet another name episode based on a character's name. That still bugs me. Anyway, the weird thing about this episode is the fact that, well, Root Beer Guy is the main character, and Finn and Jake are kind of the bad guys. Um, it's very much like Bimo Noir in that it's a mystery and it doesn't really star Finn and Jake. Finn and Jake are there, but yeah, they're kind of the bad guys. This episode was interesting. Like, what it does is it kind of puts the Candy Kingdom in a realistic place. Like, they have parking meters and airplanes and subway systems, like and houses and stuff. Like it all looks very like suburbs, like real life, kind of like candy versions of real life. Um, and while I like the details that are put into like the backgrounds and stuff, like that make up like the city and stuff, like the Candy Kingdom itself, um, it doesn't really seem too consistent with what we've seen too far so far. Like the Candy Kingdom, I don't know, has always at least felt like the candy people are living in huts, like one room huts, and they're simple people, so they don't mind that. Princess Bubblegum's palace is kind of the only really big structure. The rest of them, but I don't know. That's just kind of what I've interpreted, and I don't dislike the interpretation of it being like a real life city. I don't know. On the one hand, it's good for providing kind of you know takes on reality in that it's like it's real world but candy version. But on the other hand, it takes away from some of the fantasy and imagination when it's just like, oh, it's real world but candy. As opposed to being like it's whatever. It's medieval times. It's fantasy. It's whatever. It's this or that. It's post-apocalyptic. It's strange. But that's nitpicking on very minor details. I did notice that this episode in particular, and a few other ones recently, like Candy Streets, have kind of done the same, where it's brought the Candy Kingdom down. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. And I don't know, maybe that was their intention from the start, and now they're able to actually make that look realistic as opposed to just limitations, having Candy Kingdom being a few houses. But anyway, I really, speaking of that, I really like the design on Root Beer Guy and his wife. I don't know, Cherry Cream Soda Girl or whatever it is. Um, I really like the design. I think the designs are really cool. And I do like the backgrounds here, even if I'm not quite sure if it's tonally fitting. I do think that they are very nicely detailed. Apparently, a gumdrop guy in this episode was voiced by a 14-year-old kid as a part of the Make a Wish Foundation. They granted his wish, and he got to voice a character, so that was cool. Um, there's not much else. I like the twist at the end where, Finn and Jake did kind of kidnap Princess Bubblegum, but it was all for testing the banana guards. But of course, the banana guards are terrible. Um, and root beer guy, like it's cool. It's really cool. It's not like a cliched like misunderstanding or anything. Um, as far as like the mystery goes, I mean it's about as good as any other mystery in Adventure Time episode, so it's decent. It's showing that Adventure Time can be many things, and occasionally it's like a mystery. It's a detective novel basically. Mystery Train was very similar. I love that episode. Bimo Noir was similar. Not as crazy about that episode. Um, so yeah, I think this was a decent episode. It's also really weird. Like his marital issues are a big part of this, and I just I don't know if it's necessary. Like I get what you're trying to do, but it's not even like it's an adult joke. It's just kind of an adult theme that's there for not much reason. Like it's not funny is the thing. Like I'm all for throwing your, Jake making these videotapes for Rainicorn, because that's funny. But this just isn't. It's just kind of like, oh, his wife misses him at night. Oh, she thinks she needs to dress up like a French maid to get attention. That's not really a joke. That's just strange to be put into a kids cartoon for no reason whatsoever. Um, but I mean, the one thing it does do is it does make it feels like a movie almost. Like some of the ways it's shot, quote unquote, like the camera angles and stuff, and some of the cuts, like it'll cut from him looking at a clue to being in the office with his boss yelling at him. Um, so some of that is cool. Is really like film, like you'd expect that in a pretentious movie, or not even a pretentious movie, just a very well made movie. Um, so yeah, that's cool. It's just, you know what, I thought this episode was decent, but it's like most Adventure Time episodes. It's just another piece of evidence that Adventure Time can really be anything. It can be any kind of story. It doesn't have to have Finn and Jake be the main characters, even. It can be anything. It can be a mystery. It can be a comedy. It can be an action adventure. It can be romance. It can be sad. It can be anything. The show just has the crazy range, and if you don't like a kind of episode, well, tune in next week because it's going to be something completely different. And that's one of the things I love about Adventure Time. So, with that, Pieguyrulz,